There are beautiful stories in the Bible which really edifies us, which really give kind of a motivation to us and give a hope to us, my dear friends. One such story is the story of Joseph. You all have heard about this story, but let us once again remind that. The tale of Joseph, found in the book of Genesis in the Old Testament, is a narrative rich in hope and resilience and even in divine providence. So I think it's a very beautiful story. Joseph's life's journey takes him from a pit of betrayal and imprisonment to a pinnacle of power and forgiveness, illustrating the transformation, power of hope, God's guiding, and even in the darkest of his circumstances. It was beautiful. I think we all know the story, so I don't want to narrate over and over again the story, but I will catch up from here and there. We know that Joseph was very much favored by Jacob, his father. But when his father favored him the most, all the other brothers didn't like it. And the jealousy was aggravating and increasing. Ultimately, he had to pay the price. In our lives, it is the same, my dear friends. See, when we work in a family or else in our society, when we are favored even by God, what happens when we are favored by God? You know, when we have the eye of God on us. When we are favored by God, of course we will be prosperous. That's what the word says. When you are favored by God, then you will be prosperous. The prosperity that God gives cannot be taken away by anything. When you are favored by God, you will definitely be prosperous. That's why Jesus said once, I am the vine and you are the branches, and the more you are connected with me, the more you will be fruitful. You will bear fruit. In order to bear fruit, you have to be connected with me. So similarly, when God favors us, we are in prosperity. But when we are in prosperity, prosperity of God, the God-given prosperity, people really cannot bear it up. That's what happened to Joseph as well. And people will definitely put us down. Sometime we will be discarded. Sometime we will be criticized. Sometime we will be marginalized, cornered, battered. Sometime we will be discriminated. Could be. There were many things. There could be many things that would come on our way when God favors us. So similarly, when Jacob favored Joseph, all his brothers couldn't take it up, and ultimately he had to pay the price. We know what happened. But we know in the case of Joseph, he endured hardship as a slave in Egypt. Sometime unjustly, when he was imprisoned, he just took it up very positively. Despite these trials, Joseph's faith in God and unwavering integrity never wavered. Never wavered, my dear friends. His integrity and the faith that he had in God never wavered. He never gave a second thought to it. And so much so, we find in his story, it says, the God was with Joseph and he was a prosperous man. That's what it says. God was with Joseph and he was a prosperous man. But the prosperity that God gives is the prosperity that we see in the world. That's a different sort of a prosperity, my dear friends. The prosperity that comes from God comes with trials, with trying circumstances in life. But something that we need to believe is the providence, the providential aspect that Joseph experienced in his life. And Joseph, we see, always been faithful to God, never wanted to make any sort of a mistake that would hurt God. Even when he was tempted, when he was trying to be caught up by the woman who was very lustful, his master's wife, he never allowed him to be dragged away with those temptations. But he resisted. He stood against. And he was a man of integrity. And he really wanted to be faithful to God and faithful to his master as well. And those things are values in life, my dear friends. Sometimes we, in our lives now, today, if we are in a very frustrated situation or disastrous situation, or if we are in a despair, or if we are fallen down, just think it's not because of anyone else, but it's because of us. We are liable for that. So we have to take, it's because of our own fault. It's because of our own wrong choices, without being faithful to God, without believing the providence of God, without believing, standing firm in the hope of God. We have sometimes chosen things in life because we think that we could be triumph over things. We could be master of our own success. We could be the heroes of our lives. So we take we become the agent of our own lives. And when we become the agents of our own lives, what happens? The God has no role to play in our lives. The God has nothing to do in our lives. In the life of Joseph, we clearly see that Joseph always allowed the God whom he believed to play the role that he wanted to play in him. That's very much beautiful. He just let go and let God. The most difficult thing for us, my dear friends, is to let go. We can let go, but we don't want to let God. Because we know when God takes up, it's not very easy. Sometimes we need to sacrifice our comfort zones. We have to come out our comfort zones because it's demanding. We don't want to experience the prosperity that God gives because that prosperity comes with much trials and tribulations probably. Or else I may have to pay the price as Joseph paid. But without seeing the ultimate result, without seeing the ultimate glory that we are going to experience, we just we just take away all what we need to experience in future, because just to experience a momentary pleasure in our lives. So the story of Joseph teaches us very beautifully how we need to believe in the providence of God, how we need to believe that God always takes us, how we need to believe that God, when we are favored by God, that we are always prosperous. So in order to be favored by God, we need to be His children, and we need to always succumb to His will. We need to surrender ourselves to His will, my dear friends, which Joseph always did in his life. So through Joseph's journey, we witness the profound truth that God's providence can turn our darkest moments into opportunities of hope and redemption. We need to believe this, my dear friends. In times of difficulty, Joseph's story reminds all of us, my dear friends, to trust in God's plan. Even when our circumstances seem sometimes unbelievable, we need to believe God. It highlights the power and the resilience and God's divine orchestration in our lives, my dear friends. So let us believe the providence of God. Let us hold on to Him, that He may always take us on His way. So let us allow the God to play His role in our lives.